More details are coming out about the historically historic meeting between that fat, crazy man in North Korea and Kim Jong-un. President Trump and Kim met at the demilitarized zone after Trump sent Kim a playful, spontaneous tweet saying, "Dear murderous lunatic with stupid hair, meet me at the DMZ for laughs and denuclearization." Kim immediately rushed to the meeting place with an entourage that included his agent, 2 publicists, a makeup girl, and 300,000 heavily armed infantrymen with eyes like zombies. In a thrilling, off-the-cuff moment, Kim invited Trump to become the first sitting U.S. president ever to step into a country where the first man to stop applauding for the leader turns up 3 weeks later in several different plastic bags. Trump and Kim then took 19 paces together, each more historically historic than the last, after which Kim offered to welcome the American press corps with a traditional North Korean disembowelment ceremony. President Trump promised the reporters it would all be in good fun, but the cowards preferred to escape with their lives. In a private meeting, Trump and Kim then agreed to reopen the denuclearization talks, which faltered last February when Kim threatened to extinguish life on Earth, and Trump responded by poking him in the eye, then hitting him on top of the head with a mallet. The New York Times, a former newspaper, promptly responded to the incident with a harsh editorial, accusing Trump of damaging the work of previous presidents, whose more measured statesmanship had developed the relationship between our two countries to the brink of nuclear annihilation. Trump and Kim then returned to South Korea for something to eat after Kim remarked, quote, "Man, I'm starving, and so is everyone else around here. Ha ha ha, get it," unquote. After the summit, Trump said Kim was, quote, "a great little guy and a total mass murderer." He even offered Kim a job in his administration, but the dictator declined, saying, quote, "I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy." Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
I feel hunky-dunky, life is tickety-boo. Birds are winging, also singing hunky-dunky-doo. Ship-shaped, ipsy-topsy, the world is zippity-zing. It's a wonderful day, hurrah, hooray! It makes me want to sing. Oh, hurrah, hooray! Oh, hooray, hurrah!
So yesterday, I put forward a somewhat different way to look at the division in our country, not so much a division between traditional right and left, but a division between friends of the American founding and the founding's enemies. Those of us who are proud and committed to the ideas on which this nation was created, and those who think a better world is going to grow spontaneously out of the glowing compassion and virtue of their own glorious hearts. Knuckleheads, in other words. Now, the friends of the founding tend to talk about the Constitution, the law, the Declaration and its principles, the Federalist Papers and its philosophy, and so on. But of course, no ideas, no principle, and no Constitution can support our liberties if the people themselves don't support them too. We can't just have First Amendment speech protections in the Constitution. We need individuals and corporations who believe in a culture of free speech. Not free speech, but a true commitment to letting our worst enemy have his say. We can't just guarantee the right to worship. Enough of us have to care about worship to make that right meaningful and worth defending. I suspect the people who torment the cake baker in Colorado, I think they don't even realize that his right to follow his faith is actually more important than their right to have sex however they want. We can't enjoy our freedom without a deep understanding of the self-restraint and virtuous behavior that's required to make liberty practicable. The founders who said our Constitution was only for religious people weren't kidding around. I don't think I'm stepping too far out on a limb to say we've lost some of that culture of freedom, or to go even further and say it's in danger of being extinguished altogether. And there are real questions about how and whether that culture can be restored. I've long believed that Donald Trump was elected not so much for his political skills as for his cultural savvy. He was the belligerent voice of a frustrated people who felt their own voices, their culture, and their country had been taken away from them by urban elites with a multicultural, leftist agenda, the enemies of the American founding. President Trump was the only way they could fight back short of revolution. The terrific slogan, "Make America Great Again," has a plaintive aspect to it. It's the slogan of people who think some greatness has been lost and needs to be recovered. It's not just a matter of a better economy, though a good economy helps. It's not just a saner foreign policy, though God knows that would be a relief. It's a whole hearts and minds structure of faith and pride and self-restraint that used to hold up our freedoms and now seems in danger of collapse. A lot of people tell me that that culture can't be saved, which seems to me just a pointless observation. Despair is defeat. if you make the attempt, you simply don't know what can happen. So I think we need to begin talking specifically about what needs to be done to restore our culture. And I will try and start that today. I won't obviously be able to do the whole thing, but we'll talk about it. First, we have to talk about big token. Big tech companies make a lot of money. You know what they say? They say if you're not paying for the goods, you may be the product, right? And that's because you're giving all your data to them and then they sell the data. If you want to do that, go ahead, but you should know that you could be making money off that data too with Big Token. Here's how it works. First, you download the app. You sign up for a free Big Token account, and then you complete actions to earn points. Actions can include answering a survey or checking a location, connecting your social accounts, and more. Then you can redeem your points for rewards such as cash and gift cards, or donate your earnings to charity. You choose what data you share with Big Token and then get paid for it. Your data is always secure in Big Token, and the best part is you get paid. It's lots of fun, too. It's very addictive. If you want to start earning money for your data, go to the App Store or Google Play, search for Big Token, BIGTOKEN, all one word. Download the app and sign up. Make sure to use my referral code, Klavan. Again, search Big Token in the App Store or Google Play, download the app and use my referral code Klavan to sign up, claim your data, and get paid. Though, of course, you can't get paid if you don't know how to spell Klavan. So it's Klavan. And let us not forget, tomorrow is the mailbag. This I can't take it anyhow. The mailbag, whatever I was saying. It's another long Klavanless weekend with the July 4th weekend coming up. So you want to make sure that all your problems are solved before the weekend begins. How do you do that? Go to dailywire.com, hit the podcast button, hit the Andrew Klavan podcast. There's a little picture of a mailbag. Hit that. And if you are a subscriber, you can ask any questions you want. If you're not a subscriber, when you hit the mailbag, it actually hits you back. It leaps out of your computer and just punches you in the face and says, subscribe, you cheap SOB. But if you are a subscriber, which is only a lousy $10 a month and $100 for the year, you can then ask any question about religion, about politics, even about your personal life. All my answers are guaranteed 100% correct and will change your life, maybe for the better. We can't be sure. We can't guarantee that, but we do guarantee the answers will be true and will change your life. And after that, you're on your own. So the New York Times this morning, a former newspaper, ran a video op-ed called something like "Stop Telling Me America is Great." And they ran this thing. It's very well made. It's very clever. And it puts forward the idea that this whole idea of America being great is ridiculous. Here's a cut.
America, the greatest country on earth. A narrative packed and sold to tiny patriots, reinforced by every cartoon, movie, cheeseburger, and mattress sale.
Guaranteed.
A mythology so entrenched, our most beloved personalities urge us never to question it.
Don't let anyone ever tell you that this country isn't great. This right now is the greatest country on earth.
Greatest country God ever gave man.
You're the greatest country in the world, I'll tell you that.
No, America's the greatest country in the world.
But what if we did question it?
It's a really dishonest video in a lot of ways. First of all, the entire setup that children are being taught, all the pictures of the children being taught are from the 50s, So the idea that children today are being taught this is a great country is kind of garbage. And the fact that you put, they put Michelle Obama and then they put Sean Hannity, say, it's back both on the left and the right, that they're saying it's a great country. We know that the Obamas did nothing but apologize for this country. We didn't forget that Michelle Obama said the first time she was ever proud of her country was the day her husband happened to get elected. So we know it's really only one side. And then they go on afterwards. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but they go on afterwards and talk about all the ways they think America is not great. And they use, some of the stuff they say is fair, but a lot of it is questionable. So they use our high poverty rates without mentioning the fact that poverty in America is wealth anywhere else because of wealth transfers. The problem we have here is not that people don't have enough money because they can get enough wealth transfers so that people living in poverty today are living at a fairly high level compared to other countries. If you've ever been to another country, with the exception of Democrat cities where people are homeless, that's the kind of poverty that is widespread in a lot of other countries. And they'll talk about the high mortality rate among infants without mentioning the fact that we try to save a lot more infants who have been born so early that they would die in any other country. So the statistics are questionable. But I don't think that there is any question that this is not the country that it was. That is the fact that is the reason Trump is so popular with his slogan, "Make America Great Again." So the idea is something has been lost. And I think after 8 years of listening to Obama apologize for this country, after 8 years of listening to news people, like Katie Couric, who said she was uncomfortable when she saw the American flag, when she saw somebody wearing an American flag pin. Wasn't that going too far? When we were supposed to wonder why Al-Qaeda disliked us instead of just bombing them into the Stone Age. I mean, why should we wonder why animals like Al-Qaeda dislike us? They dislike us because we're better than they are and we're free. That's why they dislike us. And it goes on to talk about how we're not free. I mean, it really is a dishonest video, but still, I can't help feeling that everybody senses that this is not the country that it was and something was lost. And a lot of the people on the left say, oh, that's because you're a racist. You want to go back to those days of Jim Crow and go back to days when women, were stuck in the house and all this stuff. But that's nonsense. That's absolutely absurd. What people want is to go back to the days when people were proud of their country, when their children were taught to be proud of their country. And yes, now we understand that people were left out. Let's include them too. I don't think anybody is against that. I think the problem is that we've lost some sense of pride. Gallup has a poll out. It says, as Americans prepare to celebrate the 4th of July holiday, their pride in the U.S. has hit its lowest point since Gallup's first measurement in 2001. While 70% of U.S. adults overall say they are proud to be Americans, this includes fewer than half who are extremely proud, marking the second consecutive year that this reading is below the majority level. It's only really a 2% decline, which is kind of meaningless. Still, people were extremely proud of America. The last time that number really spiked was after 9/11, when people suddenly realized, oh yeah, good country. But when you read more closely into this Gallup poll, it's the Democrats who aren't proud. The latest overall declines in patriotism are largely driven by Democrats, whose self-reported pride has historically been lower and has fluctuated more than Republicans. Democrats' latest 22% extreme pride reading is the group's lowest in Gallup's 19 years of measurement and is half of what it was several months before Donald Trump's 2016 election victory. So they're happy when they're winning. They're not happy when they're losing, which is not true of the Republicans, who remain very proud even during Barack Obama. Republicans have remained extremely proud of their country, and the latest 76% reading is just 10 points below the high recorded in 2003. Even when Barack Obama was in office, Republicans' extreme pride never fell below 68%. And that is really telling to me. It's really telling that when the Democrats lose, they lose their pride. In other words, they're only proud, like Michelle Obama, they're only proud of a country they run, and they cannot see that there might be another way. Whereas Republicans are proud of the structure. They're the friends of the founding, right? They understand that the founding is still in place even if they lose an election. The fact that there's an election, the fact that it works the way it's supposed to work, the fact that we transfer power peacefully, that people are still constrained by the Constitution. Obama less than any other president I can think of, but still, was constrained to some degree by the Constitution and by the separation of powers and by the courts, who gave him a record number of 9-0 defeats in the Supreme Court because he overreached on his executive powers. So we remain proud because we feel the system is in place. Where, as we know, when the Democrats lose, it's suddenly, we got to get rid of this system. We got to stack the Supreme Court. We got to get rid of the Electoral College, because they are only proud of this country when they win. And that is the difference between somebody who's proud of the founding, who's a friend of the founding, and someone who is just proud of himself and think his own glorious compassion and virtue is going to transform the world into something it has never been ever. Okay, and that is the difference. So I want to go back and talk and show you the difference between these two cultures in just a sec. But first, let us talk about your beautiful teeth. I know you look at me, you say, my God, that guy has such a dazzling smile. But as you get older, your teeth start to move around. And if you want to get your teeth fixed, the last thing you want to do is wear braces as an adult, right? Candid is a clear alternative to braces. Candid has an orthodontist who is licensed in your state, create a treatment plan for you, and Candid only uses experienced orthodontists. They even create a 3D preview of what the final results will be like. Once you approve that 3D preview, Candid creates custom clear aligners that will be sent directly to you. And that means no hassle. You don't have to go to the orthodontist's office. You can do this all online. Candid costs 65% less than braces, and you can save thousands of dollars and have straighter, brighter teeth in an average of just 6 months. You're one step away from getting straighter, brighter teeth. Learn more at candidco.com/Klavan and use code Klavan to get $75 off. That's Candid Co, C-O, candidco.com/Klavan, code Klavan for $75 off. And it only costs you, if you send me personally $75, I will tell you how to spell Klavan. That's only a joke. Don't send me money. It's Klavan. The 4th is coming. Trump is talking about having a great big parade. Here is Donald Trump talking about the parade he's going to have on the 4th of July.
We're going to have a great 4th of July in Washington, D.C. It'll be like no other. It'll be special, and I hope a lot of people come, and it's going to be about this country, and it's a salute to America. And I'm going to be here, and I'm going to say a few words, and we're going to have planes going overhead, the best fighter jets in the world, and other planes, too. And we're going to have some tanks stationed outside.
So, of course, this makes the left crazy. Now, this is one of the reasons that Trump was elected. He was elected to say, stand up when they play the national anthem, you rich, lazy, stupid football players. You know, he was elected to say, no, we love this country. We don't want a globalist world. We don't want to lose our borders. That's why he was elected. And this drives the left crazy. The very fact of having pride in your country upsets them and worries them. So here's Eugene Robinson, very far left writer, I think for the Washington Post, on MSNBC, reacting.
It's glorious. It's wonderful. It's one of the best days of the year in Washington, despite the fact that it's usually 95 degrees. And to take this and to make it into what seems to be kind of a combination Trump rally and Kim Jong-un style military parade of hardware and equipment with Sherman tanks, which is ridiculous. The last Sherman tank, I think, was taken
50s.
out of service in 1957.
Yep.
But it's just obscene. It really is. And I just hope it doesn't spoil the whole day.
Oh, it spoils the whole day to have those military parades. We've done this, I don't know, 7 or 8 times in history. Usually, you know, we've had tanks go by before. Usually these military parades take place after a victory in war, World War I or World War II. But during the Cold War, John F. Kennedy, here's a picture, I think, of Kennedy's inauguration with the tanks going by, right by the reviewing stand. There was one for, I think it was Eisenhower. Eisenhower had one after the victory in the Gulf War. So it's been done before. There's nothing obscene about it. There's nothing evil about it. There's nothing Kim Jong-un about it. We're a powerful country. Trump wants to celebrate that power. But that's the difference. That is the difference between the right and the left. And it's not just patriotism. It is not just patriotism. It is an actual belief in what this country is. Remember, this country, only country on earth, this is true, this country is created by its Constitution. It wasn't there one day, and then the next day it was. When we are patriotic, now look, everybody has a natural feeling of love for their native land. If you don't have that natural feeling for your native land, it's like not having a natural feeling of affection for your mother. It really is something is wrong with you if you don't have it. And yes, that natural feeling can lead you astray, as it can lead you astray with your mother. You know, I mean, sometimes if your mom is doing something abusive or something terrible, you might have to cut her loose. You might have to protect yourself, defend yourself. And that natural feeling of desire to be attached to her can get in your way. Same with your country. If your country is doing something evil, something truly wicked, you might have to overcome that natural feeling. But America deserves more than that from us because of what it has done, because it has become increasingly more free. It has become increasingly like the image of itself that's presented in the Declaration. It has been a great country. There is no one, as I've said a million times, there is no one walking the planet Earth who is politically free, who does not owe a debt to the blood and treasure of this country. We have freed, all freedom has come from us in some way, has been defended by us in some way. And I know the British get very upset about that because they are the mother of parliaments, and I respect that totally, but they'd be gone if it weren't for America. They resent hearing that too, but it is true. And it's true, you know, it's true to this day. And so we love this country. This country deserves a kind of love that goes beyond our natural feeling for our motherland. It goes beyond that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing to be afraid of. And it is actually celebrating the best thing we are. And I think on the left, it's gone. I think that culture is gone. And the reason it's gone is because it has been trained out of people. See, this is why that New York Times video was so dishonest, because they say this is what we teach kids in school. As if. I mean, the biggest history book, the biggest seller history book is that Howard Zinn. He was a communist. He hated this country. He wrote that People's History of the U.S. in which he said, this is history told from the point of view of the victims. I want to tell it from the point of view of the victims. But the thing is, there are always victims everywhere. You know, I'm not forgiving the sins of this country. I'm saying that every country has its sins, but this country has something different that transforms it usually toward more freedom. And it's that we've lost, and we've lost the underlying mechanism that supports it, which is our virtue, which is our religion, which is our sense of self-restraint. You know, it is interesting that when we're talking about pride, and country, they're having these pride parades that basically celebrate leftism, but also celebrate sexual liberation. Sexual liberation, I don't actually think that that's a value. I think you should be able to, have the love affair you want. I think you should be able to have be in love with the person you want. But free sex is destructive to you. I'm not just talking about, it's immoral because God doesn't like it. It's destructive to you, and it ultimately makes you a slave because it's going to get you sick. It's going to get you in trouble. It's going to mean that you have to come to the government and beg them for help, and that's why the left loves it so much. So when you see our old friend, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who really is awful. I mean, she's an awful ignoramus, and she really is, I think she's a dishonest person as well. At first I didn't actually think that she was entirely dishonest, but now she went down to one of these Texas detention centers, and she comes out and she says, I wasn't safe in there. These guys were threatening to me. She says she wasn't safe from the guards, from the people running the detention center, and she came out and she just said what a nightmare it was.
Can you say it again in English, please? There's abuse in these facilities. There's abuse. This was them on their best behavior, and they put them in a room with no running water, and these women were being told by CBP officers to drink out of the toilet. They were drinking water out of the toilet, and that was them knowing a congressional visit was coming. This is CBP on their best behavior, telling people to drink out of the toilet.
Did you see somebody actually do that?
She rolls up the window of her car before answering if she actually saw anybody do that. And of course, the press, the leftist press, this is the reason they know they can say these things, because the leftist press will back them up. As New York Times, women held in rooms without running water, sleeping bags set up on concrete, and children left apart from their families. That was what Democratic lawmakers said they heard about that's what Democratic lawmakers said they heard about on Monday as they toured 2 Texas border facilities, okay? This is what they said they heard about, okay? So the New York Times has nothing, but they lead with it. They write the lead as if it's really true, as if that's the drama of the story. The border agent said, one border agent told the Examiner, said, this is what happened with the migrant and drinking water from the toilet. She wanted water, didn't know how to use the faucet in the cell, and drank from the toilet. She never told AOC that we made her drink from the toilet. AOC, of course, changed it. This was when she, the migrant, was apprehended and brought into the facility. This is, by the way, and others have suggested, they have these, the same kind of things they have in prison. It's one unit that has both a sink and a toilet on it, and the sink works up top. And AOC didn't see any of this happen anyway, so it doesn't matter. This is a full-on Kavanaugh hysteria going on. This really is. We know they do this because we saw them do it with Kavanaugh, and they're doing it again. All the stuff that's happening was happening before. The only difference is because the Congress has done nothing to change the asylum laws that need changing, that everybody agrees need changing, because they've done nothing, because they have this Leninist policy that they want this to go so badly that they will cause hysteria and the whole thing can collapse. Because of that, because more people are coming in, and there are reports that they're buying children so they can bring in and say, this is my beloved child that I paid. I love him so much because I paid so much to get him. They're coming in dishonestly. What are we supposed to do with them? What are we supposed to do with them? The only difference between now and Obama is more of them are coming in and we're understaffed. And when they said, let's send more money to help them out, AOC voted against it. This is a full-on Kavanaugh lie that they're telling the people. There was some website, some Facebook page where some people who they claim to have been part of the border security unit were making racist remarks. And the government says they're going to investigate that. Let's wait and see who that really was. Find out. There are always some bad hats. There are always some bad apples. Maybe it was really border guards, but we'll see who it was. And they put those two stories together to gin up hysteria. And that's what it is, because it really is people who have been trained not to be proud of their country. Yesterday, we had Michael Knowles on. I know every time you see Michael Knowles, you think to yourself, why didn't we use ZipRecruiter when we were hiring people? And I know it's tragic, but you can avoid that tragedy. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, and they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. Do not let Michael Knowles happen to your business. Trust me on this. You do not want that. It's ugly. It's a terrible thing to behold. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free, which is pretty inexpensive, at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/DAILYWIRE. One word, ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter, it's the smartest way to hire. All right. So all of this is what I'm saying about this. All of this is a matter of culture. There are people talking on the right now saying we need to restore this. We need to use the government to restore that virtue. There's no way to do this. I mean, the government can do helpful things. It would be nice if we could dial back the imposition of regulatory agencies. It would be nice if we could dial back the imposition on local schools that keeps prayer out of school. I don't think that was what the founders intended. I think this wall, so-called wall between church and state, is a made-up leftist trope. That was not what they intended. They didn't intend for religion to be chased out of the square, but out of the public square. But the question is, how do we do this? And obviously, it is a cultural question. You have to make people proud again. You have to make people have to be religious again. Look, you can't defend the right to your faith if you, in fact, don't have any faith. If you don't understand that why faith is so important, why it's more important what you believe and whether you can practice your faith, than it is who you sleep with. It's more important because that's an expression of your soul. That's an expression of your mind. That's an expression of the way you see eternity is the way you see the world as well. All of these things have to be restored. And when I talk about this, people say, well, as somebody said to me the other day, it's like moving the sky. How do you change the culture? But the thing is, the left did it. The left did it. This is not the culture that it was even as far back as the 1980s. They did it through the courts. They did it through Hollywood. They did it through the universities, maybe most especially through the educational system. They taught people out of their freedom. They de-educated people about freedom. If they can do it, I do not see why we can't do it. What we can't do is we can't do it tomorrow. We can't do it immediately. That's different. And so I think we really have to talk in very specific terms, because I hate when people talk about this stuff and they kind of have these vague, high-sounding words about what we're supposed to do. I think we have to talk in very specific terms about what it is we have to do in order to get our culture back even over time. Hey, I've got a really interesting guest coming up. It's Tuesday, so we're going to cut away, but come on over to thedailywire.com and you can hear it. Lawrence Mead, he's going to be talking about some of these issues, basically, and what has gone wrong and how maybe we can start to take it back. But come over to dailywire.com for that. I got to say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube. While you're at dailywire.com, good time to subscribe. Why? Because tomorrow is the mailbag. You cannot ask questions in the mail. I get a lot of letters from people that start, I haven't subscribed, but I really need that. I'm having this problem with my mom. Can you tell? And I say to them, hey, send me the $10. Never mind your mom. Where's the money? So subscribe today and you can be in the mailbag tomorrow. Come on over to dailywire.com.